Football fans have been observing the new Manti Teo documentary on new Netflix, and Teo's story is a heartbreaking reminder that the mainstream media will build you up and then they will tear you down. It's also a reminder how dangerous all forms of media can be. This Wednesday on the episode of the Who's Got Next podcast, Conor, Mario, Mike, and myself, we all discussed the documentary and how everybody is to blame. You know, the NFL had the chance to do the right thing. I believe that the NFL was going to be on the right side of history for the first time ever. Unfortunately, the NFL did what the NFL does. The impact that they've had on Toronto FC, it's undeniable. I understand that you have to defend your quarterback. I understand that you just can't come out and, say, well, we don't want this Sean anyways. I understand. I get it. I have to do this because I have to appreciate it. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Ray's Sports Rant for the Dean Blundell Network at deanblundell.com. Also for rayroute.com. Find all my content on those two sites, and I hope you're all doing well today. And listen, I'm going to try to explain a few things to you. I was on my regular podcast tonight, and we were talking about the Manti Teo thing. And for those of you who don't know, on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern time, I'm on a podcast with four of my buddies called the Who's Got Next podcast. And we got into the whole Manti Teo documentary and really just kind of like how irresponsible the media was and all that type of thing. So listen, I'm going to try to explain our conversation. I'm going to try to not spoil the documentary for those who haven't seen it. But one thing that really hit me was how guilty everybody was in the whole Manti Teo situation. Right? The two-part miniseries painted the mainstream media as the villains, and they kind of painted Deadspin as the heroes. But the reality is, Deadspin is just as guilty for the Manti Teo fallout as MSM is. Deadspin admitted that they released their article before it was ready. They feared that somebody would release the story first. And they were so set on exposing ESPN that Deadspin released an article that ruined Manti Teo's life. Teo was ridiculed online. He became a meme. National news agencies questioned his sexuality. His integrity was questioned. And why? So the media could compete for clicks and views. Now, I'm not going to run from my reality. I work for an alternative news company. We're competing for the same clicks as ESPN, CNN, and some random guy's blogs. Conor and I admitted tonight that had Who's Got Next existed in 2013, we probably would have made fun of Manti Teo. We are just as guilty as the mainstream media and every other news agency that's out there. And if there was anything that we learned from the Manti Teo situation, it's that we have to be better as people. We have to be better as a society and not relish in somebody else's misery. We see it in politics all the time. It's a pastime for sports fans, just to be dicks. We just have to be better as people. So what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to play you a big clip from our podcast tonight, because I think that it was the perfect edition of Ray's Sports Rant. And I think that it kind of, I get my thoughts out, Mario gets his thoughts out, Conor gets his thoughts out. And I think that it's important that people, hear what we had to say on that. For those of you who only tune in to Ray's Sports Rant, that you hear what we had to say on the Who's Got Next podcast. It's about a 7-minute clip. So it's a good clip, but and I do want to apologize. My internet was wacky tonight while trying to record it, especially at the beginning. So I cut out a few times while I'm giving my take, but I think that it's right in line with what I just said. So here's the clip from tonight's episode of the Who's Got Next podcast. But I want to talk a little bit about the media, not just but all the media, and maybe how you can build somebody up and you can tear them down Connor, you got next.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen the Manti Te'o documentary. Mario is shaking your head. So I watched it the other night and I was absolutely floored, although I probably shouldn't have been. It just showed how bad, at one point, the media built him up. He even talks about it, and he's like, I used to go out and people were like, oh my God, it's Manti Te'o, like he's the man. Then people were like, oh my God, whispering like, that's Manti Te'o, like he's the guy with the fake girlfriend. And it was just amazing to me that like they completely put so much false information out there, like total garbage. And then it was really the guys who founded the story. I think it was, I'm forgetting the name of it. What was the name of it? Was it Deadspin?
Deadspin.
Yeah. And they were like, we can't believe that 8 guys who started a random sports blog did way more fact finding than any major publication and media like source anywhere. And it was just amazing to me that they just completely trashed the guy. So I just wanted to get everyone else's opinion on it and see if you saw the doc.
I want to talk about Deadspin for a second too, though, because I saw your question today and I knew exactly the. I want to point out that it was Deadspin who also ruined Manti Te'o's life, right?
Yeah, with the original story,
yeah. And say that wasn't their intentions. They can say that, their whole intentions were just to shut down ES. I say this as a member of the media, not the MSM media, but director of sports at the Dean Blundell Network. Mario is a writer for the Dean Blundell Network. All 4 of us are a part of the network by being on this podcast. That's a part of DeanBlundell.com. And we do the same thing, right? We're all trying to upstage MSS, trying to show. Deadspin came out, and there would be no Manti Te'o memes of, guys just with their arm in the air. There would be no ridicule. There would be no teardown. Just as much accountability in this mix and recognize that what they did was for clicks as well. This had nothing, you know what I mean? Like this is almost a story that if you had a moral conscience as they were pretending to have on the documentary, they would have just been like, you know what, let's just let this die. No one's exposing this kid. He's been catfished, Instead, they led to the MSM's crazy questions of like, well, is he gay? Right. And was he in on the hoax? And yeah, so they weren't asking those stupid questions, but they're just as guilty in the whole blow up of this poor kid's life. They opened Pandora's box. And the fact that the one thing I did not like about this documentary was, well, there's 2 things. Number one, they really, the woman now who did this to Te'o, who catfished him.
Yeah.
They really showed like his compassion. They really brought it off as just like, oh, he was a troubled kid who, was struggling with his sexuality. So he kind of had to do this, and we should forgive him. Where I was like, dude, you ruined a guy's life. Like, yeah, he's evil. And then on the other side, you had Deadspin, who they were painting as like, hey, we were noble in this whole venture. We were the good guys, when really they were all dicks. The mainstream media were dicks. Deadspin were dicks. We're dicks. We do it all the time. I made fun of Kyler Murray showing a remote control car on the highway, calling him short. We do it as a part of the media, and we are a part of the media. Don't confuse the situation. We're just a different part of the media. We're not a part of the mainstream media. So I think Deadspin got left off the hook too for how they did it. But absolutely, I think we do it, and I think all media does it. Face it, guys, dude. We live in a pay per click world. We all work in a pay per click world. Of course, we're looking for the next click, and that's exactly what Deadspin was doing too. And the MSN all go fuck themselves. And Anderson Cooper, a guy who's had to go through life, and him to come out and do what he did, and it was just it was awful.
Yeah, I just want to say too, on the Deadspin thing too, they talked about how they came out with the story before they might have even been ready to, because they were worried other news outlets might be getting wind of it, and they wanted to make sure they were first. And basically the most important thing was being first. Like, let's be first, and then be right, basically.
Well, and that kind of brings up, and then I'll shut up and let somebody else talk, but it's not the same impact on somebody's life, but it's the Tom Brady retirement all over again, right? Yep. You can hate Tom Brady. You can debate whether he's the GOAT. You can debate whatever. The fact of the matter is the guy gave over 20 years of his life to the NFL. Allow him to come out and announce his retirement the way he wants to. But nope, Adam Schefter had to be first, right?
Right.
Adam Schefter had to say what? When Dwayne Haskins died. You know, he had to throw in the, what was it, like, you know, struggling quarterback. You know, like it's all about being first, and it's not about doing the right thing.
Yeah, a lot of that. Conor hit the first nail on the head when he said, listen, it's because of in the age we live in with technology and social media, everyone wants to be first, whether or not they're right or not. And then, okay, we'll deal with the fallout later, but we end up getting how many hits on this, you know, with all this media coverage that we did. And I think there's a little bit of a twist. You have to put a little bit of an asterisk next to it, Ray, when you talk about including us in that media. We're more of, like, it seems more of opinion guys of after the fact. You know, you said that thing about Kyler Murray. Okay, he's short. We all get it. It's a joke. Okay, we're gonna goof off. We're not doubting the talent or the ability of the guy. We're just kind of making jokes. But and most of the times when we just okay, this is the story that was presented by others, we're going to try to cover it and give you our spin on it. Okay, it's not like we're breaking news first of what happened from that. Like if Cody Ford just got traded to Arizona for a 5th-round pick, if we want to discuss that and put our opinions on it, that's different than breaking a news story to millions of people that has false or incomplete information on it. It's a little bit different, you know, when you decide to put that spin on it. And I think that's the troubling factor, is that there's so many people that want to be first to break it. Oh, I said it first. I broke it first. Schefter, that's his job, to let everybody know information first. And maybe he caught wind of it. Maybe he didn't. Who knows? But, you know, bottom line is this kid got crucified for it. And there should be an apology set for Manti Te'o and what's been going on. And the first one to do it should be Renaya. You know what I mean? So
yep.
It's awful what happened.
But all right, so that was a long clip from our show tonight. We do actually go deeper into it, and we get into our role in the media, working for networks like the Dean Blundell Network and, you know, Newsbreak and that type of thing, and then even just having a podcast and how we contribute to that. You can check that out at the Who's Got Next podcast or the Who's Got Next podcast YouTube channel. You can also download the podcast Who's Got Next on Spotify, all those kind of places. But yeah, so I mean, I don't really have much left to say. I really got my points across in the Who's Got Next podcast episode tonight. So that's why I wanted to share it here on Ray's Sports Rant. And basically, it's just kind of, you know, it's not a lazy way out, but I thought this was an important story. I thought coming out and giving the same spiel again probably didn't make sense. It probably made more sense for me just to play that clip. But yeah, so this, and I'll tell you the truth, I was going to do a story about my whole blog, my whole Ray Sports Rant, and I was going to be about George Springer and the Toronto Blue Jays. But after we got into the discussion around Te'o, I decided that it was probably more important, as I try to live my life as a guy who tries to do the right thing in life. And I hope that I did and said the right things in that Te'o situation. Usually this is more of a fun, you know, kind of laughing podcast, but again, we can't run from some of the realities, and sometimes we got to cover the serious issues, and this was a serious issue tonight. I hope that you found it somewhat entertaining. If you didn't find it entertaining, I hope that you found it informing, thought-provoking. I hope you'll think about it a little bit more, and that's really all I got for you. Hit my music. Appreciate y'all coming in here for Ray Sports Rant tonight. I know that I didn't do much here. I just kind of pulled a clip, but I thought it was important. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you tune in to Ray's Sports Rant every day for the Dean Blundell Network at deanblundell.com. And you can also catch it over at rayroute.com. And hey, go check out my other podcast. It's a long version, you know, over an hour. Have a lot of fun. My boy Mario from #Sports, my man Conor, the Boston Heartthrob, Conor Commentary, and my our resident angry nerd producer Mike, aka Sniper. Hope you guys enjoyed it, man. Until next time, never forget, you're all legit, kid.